The Support Crew Basics presentation is meant to be an introductory video, explaining the general purpose of the support crew and defining some common terms. I will also go over the most common rules that appear in nearly every event in some form or another, and I'll spend a bit of time discussing how to make the experience of crewing easier and more enjoyable. So what is a support crew and what do they do? The support crew has many functions. They support the rider by providing nutrition and hydration. They provide much needed encouragement. The support crew provides safety and protection for the rider. And by anticipating the upcoming needs, they make sure routine tasks move quickly and smoothly. When things go haywire, they help solve unexpected problems. This image is my two-person support crew from the 444-mile-long Natchez Trace event in 2021. Some common terms that you'll hear in these presentations include follow vehicle. The follow vehicle is the vehicle that is directly supporting the rider at any given time. This will usually have 2 licensed drivers, a spare bike, additional equipment, and food and water to support the rider and currently active support personnel. Ancillary support vehicle, if used, is any vehicle that the support crew is using either to shuttle along the course route, to get equipment, or to see a nearby site of interest. These vehicles should also be capable of temporarily acting as the follow vehicle if needed, in case there is a mechanical issue with the primary follow vehicle. RV is a term used for an RV, our recreational vehicle. In some events, the rider will use an RV basically as a mobile hotel room for the rider and some support personnel to be able to sleep at any point along the course. The term leapfrog follow refers to a method of supporting the rider where the members of the support crew in the follow vehicle continually wait for the rider to pass them for a time, then leapfrog ahead of them to await their arrival to refresh food and drinks. This type of support is usually used most commonly during daytime hours. This is opposed to direct follow, which is a method of supporting the rider where the members of the support crew in the follow vehicle remain with the rider at all times, generally directly behind them. They will pull alongside the rider to hand off additional food and drink. This is most commonly used at night or in extremely busy areas to provide additional safety. Direct follow may either be prohibited or required at certain locations or times in particular events. The crew chief is the person in charge of the support crew and, in large part, the rider as well. The crew chief may delegate some of their responsibilities to other members of the crew throughout especially long events, especially so they can get some sleep. Some of the most common rules that are related to the vehicle. Most rules in ultra-endurance cycling are clearly focused on keeping the rider and the crew safe. So knowing these rules provides a good foundation for safety. There are a lot of signs and signals that are required to be on the vehicle. The most common requirements are a slow-moving vehicle triangle, usually only when performing direct follow, a bikes ahead or similar sign, flashing amber warning lights, and racer signage such as name or race number. There are sometimes requirements for the number of licensed drivers in the follow vehicle, especially during direct follow. Typically that requirement's a minimum of 2. That doesn't necessarily apply to all events though. And you can see in this image, my direct follow vehicle is sporting all of its signage on a rather drizzly race morning. While it isn't exactly clear in this photo, my name and some additional fun comments are on the rear window, and they're also on the side windows with window marker, and that is in accordance with that particular event. There are also rules that help to enforce crew safety. Crew safety gear being present and used is a big requirement. Reflective vests and ankle or wrist straps whenever outside of the vehicle are the most common requirement. You can see 3 support crew members sporting their safety vests in the year's most fashionable colors in this image to the right. Some rules exist to ensure that driving behaviors don't create safety issues. This includes, most commonly, pulling off to the right side only and pulling off by a significant amount, usually 5 feet at least. This helps to ensure that there are no accidental traffic encounters with traffic for both the riders and the support crew, and pulling to the right is very important for this. A tired rider trying to cross lanes of traffic is not something that should happen. So, not significantly impeding traffic helps to prevent road rage. It improves relations with the non-cycling community. And this is generally interpreted as taking an opportunity to pull to the side and pause so that traffic doesn't accumulate behind the rider and our support vehicle. When doing direct follow, the limit is usually pulling alongside your rider 4 times per hour to provide supplies or to check in. This is certainly something that the value of this should be pretty obvious when you consider riding down 2-lane roads and the possibility for oncoming traffic. Our 3-person support crew from a team relay event here got so used to wearing their safety vests they didn't even think to take them off for post-race pictures. So it's definitely something that should come second nature by the time you're a couple of days into doing support crew. Also, there are some kind of miscellaneous rules having to do with procedures that usually every race has some form of these. Oftentimes, there are the predefined points where when the rider passes, somebody from the crew or the rider themselves needs to check in with usually the race director or some particular contact from the event, and that's for both race logistics reasons and for safety to make sure that everyone is accounted for. Checking in, again, usually to a race director or some sort of race headquarters anytime that the rider has to come off course or stop. This includes anything from a normal sleep stop that's planned, visiting a hotel or stopping at a hospital, anything of that nature. And there is usually a note somewhere in there about public nudity. It is almost always included in the rules, in particular because the rider may be looking to change into dry clothing after getting drenched by sweat or rain, or maybe to take some other necessary comfort break. So it's certainly possible, while it seems like we're maybe in some cases out in the middle of nowhere, to unintentionally create an exposure. So to keep our relationship good with the public, trying to avoid those is certainly a top priority. Now, let's talk a little about how to take care of yourself as a member of the support crew. The event itself and the day before can certainly feel very hectic and can produce a lot of anxiety. Prepare in advance helps to prevent anxiety ahead of time. Start thinking about how to keep things simple. Pare down the essentials to the essentials. The less extra stuff you have to keep track of, the better. Ideally, try to keep this down to a go bag, which is a small bag or backpack or duffel that you can keep with you in case you have to change vehicles. So what is included in the go bag? Imagine that you had to spend a night sleeping in your car without stopping for any additional supplies or broke down in a remote area. The car would have food and water, in this case, but what else would you need to keep going for 24 to 48 hours? You'd need toiletries, medicine, clothing to be comfortable even in inclement weather, charging cords for your electronics and backup batteries, a flashlight or a headlamp, and a bit of cash. If you have a specific brand of item that you prefer to use, bring a bit extra with you, as not all brands may be readily available in other areas of the country. For longer events, keeping backups of critical items along with extra clothes or dirty clothes in a bag in the RV, which you should be passing at least once every day to resupply from, can be a good idea. Charging slots can be at a premium in the follow vehicle. There are various lights and batteries and gadgets that need to be charged up for the bike. So staying on top of keeping phones charged whenever you can is a good idea. Also, consider bringing any extra backup battery packs that you may have. You can charge them when a slot's available, and that gives you an extra buffer to help make sure you have a place to charge your phone. A nice trick to avoid forgetting something critical is to set a phone timer. That can help remove the anxiety that comes with constantly checking the clock and worrying about what has to be done next, and if you're forgetting something. Make sure you're familiar with how to set these reminders on your phone before an event so it's easy and doesn't create extra anxiety for you. There are some physical challenges associated with support crew. You may not be riding the bike, but the support crew is still working. Being aware of those physical challenges that are typically faced will help you know what you're getting into. The support crew has to deal with being seated for long hours, alternating with sudden bursts of activity. They may make a short run or hustle a little bit to hand up a dropped water bottle, for example. The support crew needs to be able to lift and load items like coolers and bicycles. And they need to do this in the environment of the event, which could include altitude, it could include heat, cold, rain. In summary, the support crew is all about keeping things moving forward. The items covered in this presentation form the foundation for being a positive addition to the support crew team. Come to the event with a mental game plan. Have a strategy to keep stress down and adjust as needed to care for yourself through the challenges you face. This goes a long way to putting you in the best possible position to help the rider and other support crew members to keep moving forward. Reducing the anxiety helps you to be able to thoughtfully evaluate the situation rather than letting your stress influence your perception. Never give up.